The morning air was crisp and still. Lily, just 7 years old, stood at the edge of the sidewalk, clutching her small backpack so tightly her knuckles turned white. Cars zoomed past, honking as if warning her not to step out. Her heart pounded. Crossing the street alone felt impossible. She looked down the block and saw them. A group of bikers, their leather jackets glinting in the sunlight, engines rumbling low but steady. They were known in the neighborhood, not as troublemakers, but as men who watched over the streets in their own way. Lily swallowed hard. Her small voice trembled, but she spoke anyway. Could you walk me to school?" she asked, almost whispering. The bikers froze. The leader, a tall man with a broad frame, tilted his head. He hadn't expected a child to approach them like this. Some of them exchanged uncertain glances. This wasn't a usual morning request. Then, from across the street, a shadow moved. Calm, controlled, powerful. Chuck Norris stepped into view, his presence commanding attention even before he spoke. He looked at Lily, then at the bikers, and a quiet authority settled over the scene. No one spoke. No one dared. Chuck took a slow step forward. His gaze softened when it met Lily's. "We'll make sure you get there safely," he said in a voice steady enough to calm the fear that had been building in her chest. Lily felt a little of the tension leave her shoulders. The bikers, sensing the shift, straightened up. Engines purred quietly, no longer intimidating but protective. Lily took a deep breath and stepped toward them. Her small hand brushed against the leader's leather sleeve as if testing the ground, testing the safety that had suddenly appeared. And just like that, the unlikeliest alliance formed. A 7-year-old girl, a band of rough-looking bikers, and a legendary figure known for courage beyond measure. For Lily, the walk to school was about to become the first step toward feeling truly safe. The street was quiet now, the early morning sun casting long shadows across the sidewalks. Lily's small frame seemed even smaller against the backdrop of tall oak trees and neat suburban houses. She had lived here her whole life, and yet the familiar streets now felt different, sharper somehow, filled with sounds that made her heart race. Her mother, Claire, stood at the front door, watching anxiously as Lily's sneakers shuffled along the pavement. Claire's hand lingered on the doorknob, frozen in hesitation. She knew her daughter had been uneasy about walking alone for weeks, but she had no idea how serious the fear had become. The worry etched on her face was unmistakable. The line between protection and letting go had never felt so thin. Across the street, the bikers waited. Their leather jackets were worn but cared for, patches on their backs telling stories of years spent together as a tight-knit group. Some had rough hands and weathered faces, but their eyes softened when they noticed Lily. These men were used to being misunderstood, often judged by the outside world, but today they were standing here for someone else's safety, not their own. The leader, a man known to the neighborhood as Red, had been a father figure to many, though not officially. He knelt down so he could see Lily's eyes, offering a gentle smile. The contrast between his rugged appearance and his calm demeanor was striking, almost disarming. Lily clutched her backpack straps and took a small step forward. She had been thinking about this moment all week. She had planned her words carefully, rehearsing them in front of her bedroom mirror. How to ask for help without being too loud. How to make sure someone would understand. I don't want to walk alone," she said quietly, her voice barely above the hum of distant traffic. Could you walk me to school?" The words hung in the air. The bikers exchanged glances, uncertainty flickering across their faces, though it didn't last. Red nodded slowly. "We'll make sure you get there safely, kiddo," he said. His tone was firm but warm, instantly putting Lily at ease. Then, from the end of the street, a figure emerged. There was no mistaking him. A presence of calm power, a legend in motion. Chuck Norris's silhouette cut through the morning light. His eyes scanned the group, taking in Lily, the bikers, and the surrounding neighborhood. Even the leaves seemed to pause in the gentle breeze as he approached. He knelt to Lily's level and smiled. "Morning," he said quietly. "You're about to have a safe walk today." The street felt different now. What had seemed intimidating moments before now felt protective. Engines rumbled softly in agreement, leather creaking as bikers adjusted their stance, and Lily felt her small hands unclench slightly. She knew she was being seen, and not just as a child in danger, but as someone whose feelings mattered. Lily's mother, Claire, finally exhaled, tears glistening in her eyes. She had worried for so long that no one would understand the fear her daughter carried. But here, on this quiet suburban street, with a legendary figure and a group of bikers standing ready to protect her, Claire realized something crucial. It takes a village sometimes, even when that village is made of unlikely heroes. Red straightened and turned to Chuck, a nod of respect passing silently between them. They didn't need to speak. Their purpose was clear. The walk to school wouldn't be ordinary. For Lily, it was the first step in realizing that courage could come in many forms, and that sometimes the world's roughest-looking people could be its safest guardians. Have you ever felt like someone unexpected could step in and make you feel safe? As Lily took her first tentative steps down the sidewalk, the morning seemed peaceful, but the tension beneath it was palpable. Every sound felt amplified. The distant bark of a dog, the crunch of gravel under sneakers, the low hum of a passing car. Lily's heart pounded, not from the walk itself, but from the anticipation of what she had been trying to avoid for weeks. Red stayed close, his presence calm, yet commanding. The other bikers flanked them, moving in silent formation. Their bodies were a shield, their glances scanning the street ahead and behind. Each step Lily took was measured, careful, yet she could feel the invisible weight of the threat she had feared, the unknown that had shadowed her mornings for too long. "You okay, kiddo?" Red asked, crouching slightly so his voice was gentle. Lily nodded, but the tremor in her hands betrayed her nerves. The group moved slowly, deliberately, giving her space yet never leaving her alone. The contrast between freedom and protection heightened the tension in a way that kept viewers on edge. Then came the first real sign of danger, or what Lily feared was danger. A man appeared from around the corner, casual at first glance, but something in the way his eyes lingered on Lily made her stomach twist. He didn't notice the bikers at first, but Lily did. She froze. Red noticed her hesitation immediately. "Keep walking, Lily. You're safe," he said, his voice firm. Every biker instinctively tensed, creating an invisible boundary around the girl. The man's pace slowed, and he shifted, as if testing the air. From a distance, the faint sound of a phone ringing punctuated the moment. Lily's fingers clutched the straps of her backpack. Her courage wavered, but she remembered the stories she had heard about speaking up, about asking for help when things felt wrong. Chuck Norris moved forward, stepping between Lily and the approaching figure. His stance was quiet but authoritative, radiating a sense of control that immediately shifted the dynamics of the street. The man stopped, assessing, realizing the situation had changed. The bikers' formation was deliberate, tight, and impossible to ignore. The tension was thick, but it was balanced by the calm confidence of the protectors surrounding Lily. The street seemed to stretch longer with each step. Lily's small legs moved faster than she expected, adrenaline and fear propelling her forward. Each moment built suspense, not through overt action, but through the perception of danger and the careful monitoring of reactions. The bikers communicated silently, hands on belts, eyes scanning, the subtle language of guardianship conveying reassurance without breaking the story's realism. "Almost there," Red said quietly. "Just a few more steps, and you're safe." His calm tone contrasted sharply with Lily's racing thoughts, highlighting the tension in a human, believable way. She glanced up at him, the question forming in her mind. Could she truly trust these strangers? Could she finally feel protected after weeks of anxiety? The man lingered for a moment longer before turning away, sensing that his presence was neither welcome nor unnoticed. The tension eased slightly, but the experience left Lily breathless, aware of both her vulnerability and the power of protection. Chuck stayed near, his eyes never leaving the man until he was gone from sight. Lily's mother, watching from a distance, felt a surge of relief and guilt at the same time. She had worried every morning, every walk, and now she saw the invisible danger made tangible. Seeing her daughter surrounded by protectors made her understand the stakes she had been under all along. As they reached the school gate, Lily paused, realizing that the normalcy of the day was returning. But she carried with her a new sense of courage. The bikers and Chuck stayed near until she was safely inside, every movement intentional, every glance protective. The rising tension had not just been external. It had been internal, threaded through every heartbeat, every hesitation, every cautious step. Have you ever felt a moment of fear turn into relief because someone stepped in unexpectedly? The street now quieted again, but the sense of lingering vigilance remained. The bikers slowly dispersed, leaving Lily with a growing understanding of courage. Not just her own, but the courage of those who stood beside her. The tension had escalated naturally, creating a sense of suspense, fear, and eventual relief, preparing the audience for the next phase: confrontation and resolution. Lily's steps slowed as she reached the school courtyard, her small hands clutching the straps of her backpack. She sensed that the real test of courage wasn't over yet. The man who had lingered on the sidewalk earlier appeared again at the edge of the playground. This time, he stepped closer, his posture casual but deliberate. Every instinct in Lily screamed that this was not safe. Red, sensing the threat immediately, moved alongside Chuck Norris, positioning himself between Lily and the approaching figure. The bikers flanked her, their presence both imposing and reassuring. The tension was palpable. Every shift in the man's stance registered like a warning signal. The scene felt real and raw, and viewers could almost feel the cold edge of anticipation. "What are you here for?" Chuck asked calmly, his voice low but commanding. There was no aggression in his tone, only clarity and authority. The man faltered, caught off guard by the quiet strength of someone who didn't need to threaten to assert power. Lily stayed behind the protective circle, her heart pounding, unsure of what might happen next. The man's expression flickered: anger, confusion, hesitation. He tried to regain composure, forcing a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Just walking," he muttered, though the tension in his stance betrayed the lie. Chuck and Red exchanged a glance, silent communication passing between them. Every small movement added weight to the confrontation without requiring dramatic action sequences. Lily's mother arrived at the scene, rushing toward her daughter, her face etched with worry and determination. She positioned herself near Lily, but kept a respectful distance from Chuck and the bikers, knowing their protective formation was essential. The man's gaze shifted toward her, and she could feel the subtle threat behind his eyes, a reminder that fear often hides behind a mask of normalcy. "You're not going to intimidate us," Chuck said firmly. "Leave now, or the authorities will handle this." The calm, unwavering certainty in his voice created a clear line, defining who was on Lily's side and who was not. The man hesitated, sensing he had underestimated the strength of those who were protecting a child. Lily watched, her breath shallow, as the confrontation unfolded. Her fear was still present, but the presence of Chuck, Red, and the other bikers gave her a sense of safety she had never known before. She realized that courage wasn't the absence of fear. It was standing strong even while afraid. The man finally took a step back, his attempt at intimidation collapsing under the quiet authority surrounding Lily. Chuck maintained eye contact, ensuring that no further missteps would occur. Red signaled to the other bikers, and the group slowly began to disperse, still alert, but allowing Lily to reclaim a small sense of normalcy. As Lily's mother embraced her, she whispered, "You were so brave today." Lily clung tightly, her small voice trembling, but filled with a newfound confidence. I wasn't alone. The emotional weight of the moment highlighted the transformation of fear into courage, showing the audience the power of protective presence and steadfast allies. Chuck knelt to Lily's level, smiling gently. "You did everything right," he said. "Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is ask for help." Lily nodded, absorbing the lesson. She realized that asking for help didn't make her weak, it made her strong. "Have you ever been scared to speak up?" only to find courage when someone stepped in to protect you? The schoolyard now felt lighter, but the encounter had left a lasting impression. Lily understood the boundaries between fear and safety, threat and protection. The confrontation had not required dramatic violence or shouting. It relied on presence, authority, and unwavering focus on the child's well-being. The audience could feel the tension dissolve while recognizing the stakes that had just been navigated, creating anticipation for the next section, recovery, and support. After the tense confrontation, Lily clung to her mother's side, her small hands gripping tightly as though she could hold on to safety itself. The schoolyard, once filled with the echoes of children laughing and playing, now seemed quieter, almost reverent, as if it were acknowledging the courage that had just unfolded. Chuck and the bikers remained nearby, their calm vigilance creating a protective bubble around her. Her mother knelt down, brushing a strand of hair from Lily's face. "I was so worried about you," she whispered. Her voice trembled, carrying both relief and lingering fear. Lily looked up at her mother, eyes wide. She wanted to speak, but words felt heavy in her throat. Instead, she squeezed her mother's hand and whispered, "I wasn't alone." Chuck stepped closer, crouching to meet Lily at eye level. "You did the right thing by asking for help," he said gently. "Being brave doesn't mean you have to face scary things alone." Lily's gaze shifted from Chuck to Red and the other bikers. The presence of these strong, silent figures gave her an unspoken reassurance. They weren't just bodyguards. They were allies who had chosen to care about her well-being. Lily's breathing began to steady. The initial tremor of fear was fading, replaced by a warmth that came from knowing someone had her back. Her mother wrapped her arms around her again, whispering, "I promise you'll never have to face something like this alone." The combination of physical closeness and verbal affirmation began to soothe the knot of anxiety in Lily's chest. Chuck observed quietly, letting the mother-daughter bond strengthen without interference. "Sometimes," he said softly, "help comes from unexpected places, and that's okay. It doesn't make you weak. It makes you strong to accept it." Lily tilted her head, absorbing the weight of his words. Her small mind was processing a new idea, that protection and bravery could coexist. Red knelt beside Lily as well, offering a gentle nod. "You see," he said, "we're not heroes because we're fearless. We're heroes because we choose to stand up when someone needs us." The biker's calm demeanor and thoughtful words gave Lily an example of courage in action. Courage wasn't just about confronting danger. It was about presence, patience, and care. Her mother began walking slowly with her toward the school entrance, holding her hand tightly. "Do you feel safe now?" she asked. Lily paused, glancing back at Chuck and the bikers. A small, tentative smile appeared. "Yes," she said, "because I know people are looking out for me." The sense of security was tangible, both for Lily and for viewers, who could connect to the universal relief of being protected. How would you feel if someone unexpected came to help you when you were scared? As they continued toward the school, Lily's fear gradually transformed into cautious confidence. The incident had shown her that the world could contain danger, but it also contained people who were willing to step in for others. Chuck and the bikers followed at a discreet distance, giving her space while maintaining safety. In the quiet moments that followed, Lily began to notice small details she hadn't seen before. The friendly teacher waving from the classroom, the chatter of other children resuming their play, and the way sunlight caught the leaves on the trees. Each small observation reinforced the sense that normal life could return and that the threat had been mitigated. Her mother knelt once more before parting for the classroom door. "You were so brave today," she said, her eyes moist but shining with pride. Lily smiled fully now, a smile that was no longer weighed down by fear. She realized that courage wasn't just about confronting danger. It was also about allowing others to help you when you needed it most. The bikers exchanged quiet nods behind them, satisfied that their presence had made a difference. The audience, witnessing this emotional connection, is left with a sense of relief and hope. The power of trust, protection, and supportive action is demonstrated without dramatization, keeping the moment deeply human and relatable. After Lily arrived safely at school, the tension didn't simply dissolve. Chuck and the bikers returned to their bikes, discussing quietly among themselves, their faces a mix of concern and determination. They understood that keeping a child safe was only the beginning. The larger threat, though momentarily disrupted, was still present and required vigilance. Meanwhile, Lily's mother, still trembling from the morning events, received a call from the school principal. Her voice was calm, but serious. "I want to make sure we understand everything that happened. We need to document this properly to ensure your daughter's safety going forward." The mother nodded, feeling a renewed sense of responsibility. The stakes were rising, not just for immediate safety, but for the future protection of her child. Across town, Chuck contacted a trusted ally within law enforcement. He provided the details of the morning's confrontation and Lily's brave request for accompaniment. "We can't let this end with a safe walk to school," he said. "There's a pattern here, and if we don't act, someone else might be in danger." The ally listened carefully, noting the urgency without panic. The escalation of the situation was conveyed through calm, precise action, showing authority through competence rather than dramatics. At school, Lily tried to settle into her classroom, but small signs of her morning fear lingered. She hesitated to raise her hand, glanced nervously at the hallway, and kept Mr. Buttons tucked under her arm. Her teacher noticed, offering quiet reassurance. "It's okay to feel nervous after something scary," she said, "but you're safe here, and we'll help you feel strong again." These small moments reflected the continuation of stakes. Emotional and psychological safety had to be restored even as physical safety was maintained. Outside the school gates, Chuck and the bikers devised a plan to provide ongoing protection. Their discussion was strategic, emphasizing coordination, observation, and preventive measures. The sense of escalation wasn't about fear, it was about responsibility. Every decision carried weight, and the audience could sense the urgency as plans were carefully considered and contingencies mapped. Have you ever realized the danger someone faced only after helping them? How did it make you feel? As the day progressed, the story expanded to include the larger context, reports of other children in nearby neighborhoods showing signs of distress. Chuck reviewed these reports with his team. Patterns were emerging, and it became clear that Lily's case was not isolated. The tension intensified through the revelation that one child's fear could be a symptom of a broader problem, increasing stakes without introducing new characters or exaggerated threats. The bikers' presence at the school became both literal and symbolic. Their quiet monitoring reassured Lily and her mother while demonstrating authority to any potential threat. The narrative emphasized preparedness over panic, showing that escalation is not just about conflict, but about the careful management of risk and protective action. Back at home, Lily's mother reflected on her own feelings of vulnerability. She realized that the confrontation had triggered a deeper awareness of what could have happened if Lily had been alone. This internal escalation mirrored the external one, allowing the audience to connect emotionally while understanding the multi-layered nature of the stakes. Throughout the morning, subtle cues, an unexpected phone call from a concerned neighbor, a quick check-in by a school counselor, a passing police patrol, kept viewers engaged. Each moment built tension and anticipation, demonstrating that escalation doesn't always mean violence or drama. It can mean heightened awareness, careful coordination, and a widening circle of care. By the end of this section, the audience is left feeling the weight of responsibility, the importance of vigilance, and the understanding that true danger is often quiet but requires decisive action. The story continues to balance fear, hope, and courage, preparing viewers for the next pivotal moments in Lily's journey. The morning tension had finally reached its turning point. Chuck, the bikers, and school staff coordinated quietly but firmly to ensure Lily and other children were safe while authorities began investigating the broader situation. The presence of responsible adults gave Lily a sense of calm she hadn't felt in days. The immediate threat had been neutralized, and a structured plan was in place for her ongoing protection. Lily's mother sat beside her on a bench near the playground. They watched the bikers chatting with each other and with school personnel. The anxiety that had gripped her in the early hours of the morning began to ease. She realized that someone had stepped in at the exact moment her daughter needed help, turning a frightening experience into a lesson in courage and community. Meanwhile, Chuck approached Lily and knelt down to her level. "You were very brave today," he said gently. "Asking for help isn't always easy, but you did it. You showed courage, and that's important." Lily looked up, gripping Mr. Buttons tightly. Her eyes, once wide with fear, now held a glimmer of confidence. The audience could feel the shift in emotion, relief mixed with empowerment. The school principal walked over, smiling warmly. "We're going to make sure Lily and every child here know they are safe and that adults are listening. Sometimes, just knowing someone is paying attention makes all the difference." Lily nodded, understanding that her actions had not only protected her, but also reminded the adults around her of the responsibility they carried. Have you ever witnessed someone standing up for another person? Authorities later arrived at the school to begin collecting information from parents and staff. They spoke calmly, explaining their procedures and ensuring that everyone felt safe throughout the process. This reinforced a sense of control and resolution, showing the audience that situations can be managed effectively when the right people step in. Lily's mother reflected quietly, brushing her daughter's hair back from her face. "I never imagined that asking for help could be so powerful," she said. "I feel grateful that there were people who could step in, who understood what needed to be done." Lily leaned against her mother, finally relaxing. This quiet moment highlighted that resolution isn't just about external safety. It's also about emotional reassurance and trust being restored. As the day progressed, Lily's classmates returned to their routines, and the school implemented small but important changes to ensure children's safety. Every interaction emphasized empathy, attentiveness, and vigilance. Through these actions, the story conveyed a sense of closure while maintaining the underlying theme of community support and accountability. Chuck and the bikers prepared to leave the school grounds, but not before making one last round of check on Lily. "Remember," Chuck said, "it's okay to ask for help. You're never alone." Lily smiled, her earlier fear replaced with quiet confidence. The tension that had built over several sections dissipated, leaving the audience with a feeling of relief and hope. By the end of this section, the audience sees a clear path from danger to safety, fear to confidence. Lily's courage, combined with the adult's decisive action, demonstrates that challenges can be met with collaboration, careful planning, and trust. The resolution reinforces the key takeaway. Bravery, when paired with support, transforms a frightening moment into a lasting lesson in courage and protection. After the events at school had settled, Lily and her mother returned home, the sunlight streaming gently through the windows. There was a calmness in the air that hadn't been there before, a quiet reassurance that the world could be safer when brave actions met with the right support. Lily carefully placed Mr. Buttons on her shelf, a small reminder of her courage and the help she had received. Her mother sat beside her, taking a deep breath. "You taught me something important today," she said softly. "Sometimes being brave doesn't mean fighting alone. It means asking for help and trusting that someone will step in." Lily nodded, understanding the weight of her own actions and the impact they had made on the adults around her. Chuck and the bikers had returned to their clubhouse, but the lessons from that morning lingered. The community had seen the power of vigilance, empathy, and standing up when others are in danger. Their quiet presence had not only protected Lily, but also reinforced the idea that courage is contagious. It spreads when one person takes a stand. What would you do if you saw someone alone and scared? Lily's school had now put in place small changes. A buddy system for students walking to school, adults trained to notice signs of distress, and open communication channels for children to ask for help without fear. These measures symbolized a lasting shift from mere safety to active protection and awareness. Later that evening, Lily and her mother sat in the living room. The conversation turned to what had happened and the importance of listening to children. I never realized how much children notice, how much they feel, her mother said, reflecting on the day's events. Lily, confident in her own voice, explained how sharing fears can actually make things better. If we stay quiet, scary things can grow, she said. But if we tell someone we trust, they can help us. The story of that morning had ripple effects. Teachers, parents, and community members spoke about the incident not as a moment of fear, but as a moment of learning. Adults were reminded to be attentive. Children were reminded that their voices mattered, and the community was reminded that courage comes in many forms. Lily's mother hugged her tightly. You were brave today, and because of you, others will have the courage to speak up too. Lily's eyes sparkled with pride, realizing that her small action had become something much bigger. The takeaway was clear. Courage combined with support can create change far beyond the immediate moment. As the sun set, Lily looked out the window at the quiet street. She knew that while danger could appear unexpectedly, she had discovered the tools to handle it. Her voice, trusted adults, and the courage to ask for help. This reflection left the audience with a sense of empowerment and responsibility, reminding them that even small acts of bravery and kindness can make a lasting difference.